Welcome to the Weather Insights Tropical Briefing. I'm meteorologist Scott Pitney along with meteorologist Jeff Lindner. This is the morning of Monday, September 23rd. And Jeff, things have changed overnight pretty dramatically with the intensity guidance of 97L in the Caribbean. Of course, we also have there on the right disturbance number 2, which is up to 70% development chances over the next 7 days. But all of our attention is with 97L, 90% chance of development, 7 days, 70% in the next 2 days. This thing's going to be a storm and likely a very strong one.
Yeah, so you can sort of see it starting to come together down here in the eastern or the western Caribbean, a little bit further east than what we were thinking. Interestingly enough,
Yeah, definitely.
tropical storm John over here off the southern coast of Mexico, and the forecast track for this is to kind of come back to the northeast and make landfall along the Mexican coast. And so, interesting that this has formed over here. And then this is our wave coming off the coast of Africa. But the attention over the next 2 days is going to be with what we have in the Western Caribbean 97L. This is going to get its act together and it's going to quickly come northward and be on the U.S. coast probably by Thursday. The impacts could even be as soon as Wednesday in portions of the Florida Panhandle. And so, folks up here in the Florida Panhandle from Alabama, Florida line, all the way over here along the west coast of Florida down to the Florida Keys really need to be paying attention to this, looking at your hurricane kit, looking at your hurricane plans. You can see here there's some spread here in the ensemble guidance, but there's a really decent clustering here into the Florida Panhandle and the Florida Big Bend, and so this is I would say average, maybe a little bit higher than average confidence on the forecast track, and you can see here on the consensus coming up out of the Caribbean. There has been a little bit of an easterly shift here in the consensus overnight. So this is all the middle of all the major models and a little bit of a shift here, but we're not talking big spread. I would be watching very closely here on the west coast of Florida, especially that Tampa Bay area,
Right.
which is extraordinarily prone to storm surge flooding. About this easterly track, and it's kind of this S-shaped track because of the upper low here over the southern United States. If this upper low is a little bit further east, it's going to bend a little bit further to the east before it comes back to the northwest. If this upper low is a little bit further to the west, it's going to come more to straight north across the Gulf of Mexico. You're not going to see as much of a bend here. So really anywhere here along the Florida Panhandle, Tallahassee, down along the same areas that were just hit with Hurricane Debbie back in August. And then along the west coast of Florida, even a track out here in the Gulf of Mexico, that right-hand side is going to push the water towards the west coast of Florida. So you can get some very significant storm surge flooding along this vulnerable west coast of Florida, even with a track offshore here. So unfortunately, this is another potentially big threat here in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. The intensity guidance continues to come up. Virtually everything now is going up into a major hurricane. We've been looking at some of the regional hurricane models that are better sometimes on the intensity, and almost all of them make it a category 4 hurricane. And so there's a lot of favorable upper level winds in the Gulf of Mexico, passing over extremely warm, near record sea surface temperatures, and an outflow channel off to the north. And so pretty much all the factors are go for this thing once it forms that inner core to really get going in the eastern Gulf of Mexico. And this is likely going to be a very significant hurricane impact to the Florida coast, and potentially we're looking here about 60 hours. So the window for preparation is already starting to close, even though we don't have anything formed.
Right.
Is already starting to close here in Florida. You really need to be paying attention to this and getting those supplies and kits ready and being ready to take action very quickly tomorrow and Wednesday, because this is going to be coming up to the coast. Could be a pretty large storm also, which means impacts way inland and also way away from the center. So we're talking, much of the Florida peninsula and then potentially well inland into Alabama and Georgia as we get into late this weekend into the weekend.
Yep. Good thing the model guidance is showing us a lot of stuff, and we don't even have a closed low yet. But due to the speed this thing's moving and the window closing on the preparation time. Very fortunate to have this kind of information this early. So keep it right here and we'll keep you informed of the latest. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications to the Weather Insights YouTube channel. Jeff, thank you very much.